Hello, my dears. How are you today? Well, Grandma hasn't told you a story in a while. Grandpa had shoulder surgery last week. He had his rotator cuff repaired, and he's been in quite a bit of pain, but he's doing better. So things haven't been quite normal around here, but they're getting there. So today, Grandma wants to tell you a story from the Book of Mormon. It goes along with our reading assignment this week. This is the story about Ammon defending the flocks of King Lamoni. This is a very famous story in the Book of Mormon, and it's a favorite, especially of primary children. And I know my kids really liked it when they were young. And so this is the story about Ammon. There he is. He's a Nephite. He goes to the land of Ishmael. He and some of his friends, they want to teach the Lamanites, and they want to be missionaries. And so when they get to the land of Ishmael, they separate and go their separate ways to try to reach more people. And the land that Ammon goes into they don't like Nephites. And so they capture him and they take him before the king. And frequently when a Nephite is brought before the king kills him. But this time the king said to him, "Well, why are you here? What do you want?" And Ammon says he would like to live amongst them and stay with them. The king was a little bit surprised, I think. And so he said, okay. And he said, "Would you like to marry one of my daughters?" And Ammon said, "No, thanks, but I would like to be your servant." And the king agreed. And so he sent Ammon out with his other servants to take care of his flocks. And after a few days, Ammon and the other servants took the flocks down to a place called Sebus, where there was water, where many people came to water their flocks. And so while they were there watering the flocks, a bunch of other Lamanites came along, and they scattered the flocks of the king. And the other servants with Ammon were very upset, because apparently this had happened many times. And when the king's flocks got scattered and lost, the king was very upset with his servants, and he would kill them for losing some of his flock. And Ammon said, "Don't worry, let's gather them up. I will help you, and we will bring them back, and things will be okay." So Ammon and the servants gathered up the king's flocks, and they brought them back to the watering hole. And then again, along come these Lamanites trying to scatter the flocks. And Ammon says to the other servants, "Surround the flocks so they can't run away, and I will take care of these Lamanites so that they can't scatter our flocks." And so Ammon takes his sling and some stones, and he throws them at the Lamanites, and he kills 6 of them. So there were a whole bunch of them that were coming to attack. And do you think that made the other Lamanites happy when he killed 6 of them? Mm-mm. And they were trying to hit Ammon with their stones too, but the Lord was protecting Ammon and they couldn't hit him. And so they decided to come after him with their clubs. They figure, oh, there's more of us than him. We'll come after him with our clubs and kill him. But when they got close, Ammon took his sword and cut off their arms so that they couldn't hit him with their clubs. And then after a while, with a bunch of them losing their arms, they get scared and they leave. And then the servants of King Lamoni, they gather up all these arms that Ammon has cut off, and they bring this bag of arms and all the flocks back to the king. And they go in and they tell the king what had happened. And the king is just amazed. And he's thinking, this must be more than a man. Ammon must be a god or a great spirit. And then he says, "Where is Ammon?" And the servants say, "Oh, he's out taking care of your horses, just like you had asked." Because after they watered the flocks, the king was going to go on a trip and visit his father. And he had told his servants to prepare his horses afterwards. And so Ammon was off doing what the king had asked him to do. And the king was just amazed. He says, I've never had such a faithful servant doing everything I wanted. And so he wants Ammon to come in to see him. And when Ammon's done taking care of the horses, he comes in. And the king he's just so amazed. He doesn't know what to say to Ammon. And after Ammon's standing there waiting for an hour, and the king hasn't been able to get anything out, Ammon says, well, I know what you're thinking. No, I'm not a great spirit. I'm not God. I am just a man. I was taking care of your flock. And the king was totally amazed. And he wondered how Ammon could do these things and how he knew what he was thinking. And then the king asked Ammon to tell the king, about the power that he had used to kill and cut off the arms of the Lamanites. And so this was an opportunity for Ammon to teach the king and his servants about Heavenly Father and the creation of the earth and the scriptures and prophets and all these things that are so important for us to understand while we're here on earth. And the king believed Ammon's words, and he repented, and he prayed to the Lord and asked forgiveness for him and for his people. And that's just one of the stories in the Book of Mormon that I think you will enjoy reading about this week. And perhaps in one of your family home evenings, you can act out the story of Ammon defending the king's flocks. And it could be a fun story to act out. Well, remember that when we're doing what's right, Heavenly Father will bless us. And when we're trying to be faithful and helpful and kind to other people, they are more likely to listen to us too. And that's one way to be a good missionary. Remember, Grandma loves you, and I will come back and tell you some more later. Bye.